is like, are you afraid to network? So for me, being in the realm of music and making that my business, yeah, Mara, the richest country that ever existed. Yeah. And by the way, folks, by the way, people, this book came out in the mid-50s, and it's extremely relevant to today, because there's like core principles, and those things don't change at all. We live in a woe is me society, a victim society, things like that, and it just seems ridiculous with what we have right at our fingertips all the time. Like, why would that be the case? So it's a mindset, it's a purpose, having some kind of purpose in your life to move forward. So, but anyway, this is like it explains a way of thinking to better your life and your situation. And what am I trying to say? Like I said, I've been having trouble connecting my thoughts for what I think, just because I have so much going on up here right now, which is all good stuff, by the way. It's just trying to get it organized. So that's where keeping track on paper it's a good idea. So I was talking about people being afraid to network. So today, and I meant to mention this earlier, today at, for anybody in the Boise area, it'll be noon, but it's Pacific time, which would be 11 a.m. I'm going to be a guest on the Drummers Education Connection podcast. And that is streamed live to their Facebook page and their YouTube page. So if you'd like to see what all that's about, that happens today at 11 a.m. Noon Mountain Time. And so the hosts of that show are Bart Robley, Chip Ritter, Rick Stojak, and Jeremy Steinkohler. And those guys are fairly well-known drummers and drum teachers and session players. And they've had amazing guests on that show. Like Greg Bissonette, for example, has been a guest. Dom Famulero has been a guest on that show. Excuse me. Last week they had Dan Schinder. He is the guy that runs Drum Talk TV, pretty successful, well-known show about drumming, and he interviews the who's of drummers. But at any rate, I had some messages come back because I had posted it on Facebook and Instagram and that. What qualifies you to be on a show like that? They weren't like congratulating me or saying that's cool. They wanted to know what makes me so important and not them, or things of that nature. So it really comes down to it doesn't matter what you post or put out there. Somebody's going to come back and go, well, I'll tell you, the way that happened is through networking. It's being willing and able and motivated enough to send messages to people asking questions about things. So Bart Robley, who is a touring drummer, and he's, like I said, he runs this show, Drummers Education Connection. When he's on tour, he still teaches drum lessons, but he teaches from the road. And so he was doing a series of videos that I stumbled across. I don't know if it was through YouTube or Facebook, one of those platforms. I stumbled across Bart talking about teaching from the road, and he was sharing tips and tricks, things that drummers should be prepared for when you're on tour, how you take care of yourself, extra drum parts that you might need, things of that nature. And so I really liked that, and then I discovered the Drummers Education Connection, so I started watching a bunch of episodes and thought these guys were really cool. And then Bart did this video from his hotel room, where he showed his setup with the drum pad and his iPad and things that he could still teach his students, and so he didn't have to have his students miss a lesson, and he didn't miss out on his income from that. And I thought that was really, really great, because I too will go on the road for, a day, up to 4 days, things like that. And when I'm gone out performing, you spend most of your day sitting around, not doing a whole heck of a lot of anything. And so I've had substitute teachers come and teach my students, and I thought, which is great, because that's all worked out fine, but like, how can I stay connected to my students even though I'm not at the studio? And so I reached out to Bart. I first commented on his video and asked a couple questions, and then he said, hey, if you want to know more, just send me a message. So I sent him a message, and I don't know, within 12 hours or so, he he was teaching and performing. So when he had a moment, he messaged me back and said, hey, these are great questions. I do this, that, and the other. So we started to dialogue, just talking. So that was like a networking thing. My intent behind that was just to get information for myself on teaching remotely online from the road. That was my intent, nothing more. And so these questions that I was, having conversation with them through Messenger led to, hey, I'm going to be home next week. Let's have a phone call. And I thought, oh, that's great. So I sent him my phone number. He sent me his. He told me a window of time that he would be available to talk. And so we set a date at a time. And I called him, and we just hit it off. We were talking on the phone, got to know each other pretty well in this like hour and a half conversation we had that on the phone. And that conversation led to, hey, let's do a Zoom meeting, and I can go into more detail and actually like show you how all this works for me. Because he teaches drum lessons online from his studio, which is something I'm expanding into. I've tried it, but the tech end of it for me wasn't put together very well. So when you're teaching drum lessons online, audio is really important, and you're dealing with an instrument that's loud, and then an instrument that you kind of sit inside of, so it's hard to see what's going on. So unless you're having lessons in person, some of those things are a little difficult to get around. So we set up a Zoom meeting and spent a couple hours again. It was just a couple days later after the phone call, and it was just like a friendship was born, and got to know each other. So through all that, Bart's, watching my videos and we're, commenting back and forth on each other's things, and I'm watching the Drummers Education Connection episodes and commenting. And so then like Chip and Rick and Jeremy are seeing my posts, and then we became Facebook friends, and then it was just kind of this friendship progression that was starting to form. None of it had to do with what can you do for me? Can I be on the show? Nothing of that nature at all. And so it's just kind of this evolution of things that happen out, just simply asking a question. Hey, what are you doing to make this work well? Because what are the students doing on their end for audio and those kind of things? So just on, and boom, a friendship's born. And so it was, I think it was Friday morning, I got a text from Bart and said, hey, I know this is the last minute, but would you be interested in being a guest on the Drummers Education Connection show on Tuesday? And I said, yes, absolutely. So I have no idea what we're going to be talking about. I'm sure it'll be drums. But so that's how that happened. I didn't see the show And I didn't send a message to those guys not knowing them at all and said, here's my resume. I would like to be a guest on your show. But that's how some people think that works. And some people think that like that's the option to try to make something like that work. So it's all about relationships, building a relationship with somebody. And you know, I've been pretty clear that this itch that I need to scratch is to go and tour with a national band, an already established, successful band, and whether that's somebody that's current or you know, there's been a big push in some of the '80s bands that are out to. I've mentioned Tesla many times. Like, I would love to drum for Tesla, but they have a drummer that replaced Troy Lucetta, Steve Brown, who's doing a great job. But Steve got that drumming gig because he knew those guys through his network of stuff. He knew them and they knew him. And so when it came time to fill that vacated drumming seat, they went like, well, who do we know? They didn't just post some cattle call and have auditions for days and days. I know that some bands may do that, but you know, there's somebody out there who needs me. We're just trying to find each other. And so that's through that networking. I will admit though, when I first started reaching out to people that I didn't know, it made me nervous because you start putting ideas in your head that give you like self-doubt. Like, do I look right? Do I have the right abilities? Things like that, because music is such an emotional thing. At least for me it is. And I think for most people, music is a pretty emotionally driven thing. So it's hard to like separate that from the business side, which is extremely necessary to not have emotion involved in the business side of music. Like, let the emotion stay with what you're creating, and then keep business with the finances and contracts and those kind of things. So I don't know where today's episode will lead, like what's the next step after that. But it's pretty cool what evolved over the last few months just by building a friendship. We had something in common that was both being working drummers, both being teachers, both being session players. We might be exactly the same age or close. We've all experienced a lot of similar things. There were some personal stories that were shared between the two of us that really created a bond. And it was like, this is how this is supposed to work. Like, I'm making these connections simply because I just wanted to know information like, hey, I tour off and on myself. I teach. How do you make this work? Not needing anything other than that. But because of that and that relationship, now it's leading to this next thing, which is, it's exciting for me. I don't know how exciting it is for you that might be watching, but it's definitely exciting for me. So I think when you have a job, whatever that job might be, so I see, well, my sister's here. My sister is here. She says, networking and connections are so important. And I've mentioned my sister before that she, and again, I speak at the edge of my knowledge when it comes to horses, because it's not my world. But in order for her business to evolve and to thrive, she has to have relationships with people who are doing the same thing that she's doing, but at the next level of whatever that is. Some of these people that she connects with live in California, and they have these beautiful giant estates, but they have that in common, what they're doing. So, what else does she say? I love it when my sister's here. Stay true to you, always open to learning while connecting, keeping in mind to always leave a good impression. Yeah, exactly. I would click on see more, but it doesn't ever seem to work for me. Let's see. So what do you guys, anybody else want to weigh in on all that? I'll pause for a moment while, if somebody wants to type something, that would be cool, while I drink my coffee. So, like I was saying, are you afraid to network? When I first started doing that, half of me was like nervous. The other half of me was like, go. So I had this kind of push and pulls thing going on in my head, but I had to keep reminding myself what the goal was. And when I reminded myself what the goal was, it made it easier to step into an area where I was uncomfortable. And so I don't know if this saying is something that I thought of, or if I read it somewhere, but I use it all the time. It's that the more you get out of your comfort zone, the larger your comfort zone becomes. So when you keep going to the edge of what you're, and going into those uncomfortable situations, once you're on the other side of it, you realize these people are just people too, and they're going to help you or they're not. If they're not, that's fine. But more often than not, if you ask somebody a question, they're going to respond. Take Ray Luzier, for example, the drummer for Korn. It's been a while, but he had made a post about something. I don't even remember what it was, but I had like something I wanted to ask about. I don't remember what it was, but I messaged him through Facebook Messenger. I said, "Hey Ray, my name's Fred. I'm a drummer. Hey, it's been a while. So I had done this record in LA called X Drive, and the bass player on that record and in the music video that we did is James Lomenzo. And James Lomenzo had been the bass player for David Lee Roth, and Ray Luzier had been the drummer for David Lee Roth at the same time. So those two toured together and played with David Lee Roth and know each other very, very well. So I said, "Hey Ray, it's Fred. Hey, we have a friend in common, James Lomenzo. I did a record with him in LA a while back, and I know you've been to Boise, but every time you've been here, I've been busy too, so I haven't been able to connect. Would love to, at some point, connect with you, and I have a question, blah, blah, blah." He responded to me like the next day, "Hey Fred, great to hear from you. If you see James, tell him I said hi." That's awesome, you did a record with him. And so to answer your question, blah, blah, blah. Next time I'm in town, message me. Let's see if we can meet up. So that's a pretty cool thing to just ask something honestly, and then that person just responds. So, here's Ray Luzier, who's way up there, at least in my eyes. He is, because he's touring and has been in this band Korn for a long time now. These guys are worldwide superstars. And I asked him a question and he responded. So, but some people could be afraid to do that, or if they do that, the etiquette in which they do is not really there. So you can become one of those overly excited fans. Hey, and that's just nerves that cause us to get all jittery and talk really fast and talk in incomplete sentences. But just be like, okay, this is just a person, and they're doing what I want to do, and how do I meet them? How do I become friends with those people? So, I've mentioned Matt Starr many times throughout this 52 episodes of Coffee with Fred, and he's been a great mentor for me for several years now, maybe longer than several years. It's been a while. So through Matt's coaching and things that he says, and again, a friendship that I've built with Matt over the years, without ever going to Matt and saying, hey, can you get me a job? That's not how that works. He's giving me the skills to be able to do that on my own. So, Matt's a drummer, so if drumming jobs come, they're going to land in his lap first. And I'm not saying that Matt would never go, who would be great for this is Fred Fisher. That could happen, but I can't bank on that. I can't count on that. But giving me the skills to get to know people like that, that's what's going on. So don't be afraid to just reach out to people. They're just people, and just be cool in how you approach them, and be short and straight to the point too, is a good idea. Not, they don't want to know your story, at least not initially. For example, I hesitate to say that I'm of anybody of importance necessarily, because I'm just trying to do what I do. But I've been doing these drum reels, so my followers on TikTok just exploded, and it continues to keep growing every day. It had this big push, and now it's just a few, 10, 20 people a day will keep subscribing to that. My Facebook page went crazy. I've got 9,000 new followers on my Facebook page. Not friends, but followers, because my page is public and anybody can follow me. So that really just went through the roof. And then my Instagram was moving just super, super slow, just a snail's pace. And then something just clicked in the algorithm, and I've got almost 2,000 new people follow me on Instagram in the last 3 days. It just took off. So what I'm getting at with all of that is, I've mentioned sometimes, there's really great feedback on these videos that I'm doing, and, accompanying that is a handful of negative things. But then people will start messaging me. Some is really cool because I've got a couple people East Coast that want to take lessons from me as soon as I have my online thing going. I really like what you do. If you start teaching online, let me know, because I'd love to take lessons from you. And so there was 2 people in New York and 1 in Florida that had messaged me that. But then some people overwhelm you with sending you videos, not of them necessarily, but they're sharing. There's that one guy, I can't say his name correctly. He's just like unearthly fast drummer he'd be drinking coffee with his left hand and drumming really fast and does all these crazy things. So I'll have people send me like 30 videos of him doing different things. Always in the mix is the drummer at the wrong gig. That one gets sent to me. But so now I have, 50 or 60 people that are sending me hundreds of videos to watch, which it's impossible. There's no way to keep up with that. So be careful about who you want to overwhelm. Overwhelm with just, hey, I like what you do. Can we connect? That's as simple as that. There's somebody in Nashville. His name escapes me. If he sees this, I apologize. I can't. I think it's Chris. Has started a dialogue with me, and then I got this cold, and I've been busy, but I do need to call him back. But he's looking at maybe having me go to Nashville to do like a master class or something. I don't know any details other than that, but that's something that I need to investigate a little further and see if it makes sense to do that. But it's pretty cool, just the way. But that's somebody who's networking the right way. Let's see. So I asked for a couple people to weigh in. Let's check out what's going on. Joffrey, was there anybody? No, it was my sister. Joff says, I think you're on the right track. I can't imagine another way. Thank you. Yeah, and I mentioned in episodes recently, like, that goal-oriented thing. Like, I want to go here. Well, how do I get there? I don't know. I'm just gonna figure it out. Every day I'm just gonna, that I did that for years, and it didn't help move the ball down the field, so to speak. But it's like planning a trip. If I want to drive from here to Tampa Bay, I can follow a map and I can plan out how long it's going to take and estimate how much gas it's going to cost and hotel room. I make a plan. Here's my goal. I want to go to Tampa, Florida. How do I get there? Well, that's what I'm doing with my life now. It's like, now I have a more focused plan, and as that plan progresses, then you make little changes in how you're doing that to be more efficient in that process. So, Jeff, great advice. Be short and get to the point. Yeah, 100%, man. And I've reached out to people too with no response, and so if they don't respond, I know that they're probably overwhelmed with the messages, and I'm sure there's a fair amount of people just like me at being very courteous and having etiquette in how they're reaching out, but maybe that person just is never going to get to it because it's just how much stuff is coming in. So if I don't hear from somebody for 6-7 weeks, I might message them again, and sometimes they go, "Oh, I'm so sorry I missed your message." Yeah, the answer to this is that. And then if they don't respond again, then I don't bothering them again. Excuse me. So, they're not always going to respond, but the ones that do, I really appreciate. And yeah, so be right to the point. Greg, I post music stuff and I get 5 likes. I post a sugar cookie burning over, and I get 100,000 likes. Yeah, Greg, I experience that too, to a certain degree. First of all, just to be clear, like if you share a YouTube link, Facebook is going to squash that. But that might not be the case because, I can post something about music and it's crickets, and then I could take a picture of a pine cone laying on the ground and, get all this attention for whatever reason. Maybe people subconsciously think that we're trying to sell something in the midst of what we're doing, and maybe they shy away from that for whatever reason. They see a picture of a pine cone that's just a picture of a pine cone, and they know that you don't want anything from them. I don't know. I guess we could get really in the weeds about that, but yeah, that definitely happens. Mark, dude, I miss you. We haven't seen each other in it seems like forever, and I'm trying to get Seymour on your comment to work. Dang it, come on. I call it present professionalism. Your personality and skill set will be the difference. Man, I wish I could see the rest of your comment because I know it's great. But I like that you called it persistent profession. Am I reading that right? This is where I need to wear my glasses. Persistent professionalism. Dude, that is a great saying. Persistent professionalism. I love that. Mark, can I borrow that? I'm sure you'll let me. I'll try to look majestic as I say it. Persistent professionalism. Mark, so if you guys don't know, Mark Gruber here is the bass player now for Cliff Miller. Yes, he says, awesome. And Mark is just such a great person to hang with. He's just, I love you, man. See, that's what's really cool is when you can play music with people that you just genuinely love to be around. And Mark is one of those guys. And he's doesn't matter what we're doing, we're having a great time. But yeah, I appreciate Mark. And so I guess what I see, sidetrack, squirrel. We were sitting around in like a hotel room, and he goes, Fred, I saw this picture and you look so majestic. Well, that became a little bit of a running joke between Mark and myself, is trying to look majestic in my pictures.